Hello, everybody. Welcome to this is episode 3, I think. Episode 3 of the Michael Bunker radio podcast thingy. Temporary name here. Hope everybody's doing all right. It's about 10:45 in the morning. I've been getting some stuff done down here at the office. Told everybody I was going to do another podcast. Got a list of questions, comments, topics here that I want to talk about. And I think the last show I started off, I was a little irritated. I'm a little irritated today, and I'm not usually that irritated, but I got some good topics, so stay tuned past my gripe session. I'm going to talk a little bit about my taking Spanish lessons again. Here's my list: fracking and earthquakes in Texas. Is there a God? Twitter followers, composting toilets and septic tanks, Patreon, dogs and cats, leatherworking, and I think I got another list of questions that came in. But anyway, so there's stuff going on in the news. I try not to follow it too much, but and everybody that knows me knows that I've got good friends on the left and the right. I didn't participate in the election. I don't participate in elections. And I think both Hillary and Donald Trump were unqualified to be president. Wouldn't have, and just because of their morality, I wouldn't have either one of them babysit children. And I certainly am not a Trump supporter by any stretch of the imagination. However, I do like to call out things that I think are dangerous, and so I think that. A lot of the stuff that's going on in the left-right fake binary dialectic system we have is leading us on the road to widespread violence. Because I know that because I know history, and I think this is being done on purpose. I think there are people out there, agitators who are out there stirring things up, and a lot of people are doing it. They don't know any better just because they're ignorant. They have no sense of logic or reason. And there are other people, and there are people who are dogmatic ideologues, no doubt. But I think there are other people that are agitating because they want there to be violence. And the election was kind of a sign of that, and it was very divisive, which really it shouldn't have been. You would think that there would be enough reasonable people in a country the size of America to look at Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and just push do-over. You would think there'd be enough reasonable people to find a legitimate third candidate. But anyways, I don't want to get into politics because I'm not into politics. But I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. And so then we have this thing, the big fake news deal, and CNN and a lot of people are trying to label everything that they don't agree with fake news. And then in the meantime, they're actually pushing actual fake news. And so this thing came out about Trump. Everybody knows about it. Everybody heard about it, which was a prank that got picked up, I guess, by the CIA, and then CNN ran with it. And now they're backpedaling, saying they didn't publish it, even though they certainly did. And everybody's screaming and yelling. And then there's these idiots on Facebook, some of them who are my friends, some of them who aren't, who anytime they see anything negative about the person they don't like, whether it's Hillary or Trump or anybody they disagree with, they just run with it. They have no care or desire for truth. They have no care or desire to have any type of restraint. But if and I've got a couple of them on my Facebook that are just nuts. They are verifiably nut cases. And I leave a lot of them on there because they serve several purposes. First of all, they're always wrong. And so somebody who is always wrong is just as valuable as someone who is always right. If you could meet somebody who's always wrong, you need to really hold on to that person and keep them close, because they'll just do the opposite of whatever they say. Believe the opposite of whatever they say, and you'll always be right. You could take them to the racetrack, and make a lot of money. And so I keep some of them around for that. The same people post constant garbage, fringe on both sides, fringe, radicalized garbage, and Facebook gives you the utility to block those sources without blocking that person. So that helps, keep your Facebook clean. So these people serve a purpose. So anyways, there's this fake news that went out about Trump, and it was evidently fake. Anybody, to me, if you got past 8th grade civics reading that report, you should have known that it was fake. But it certainly was not verified, and not one person had any evidence that any of it was true. But the same people, and if you posted that and you're listening to this, you're one of the radicalized ones, and you just need to admit you have a problem, and the same thing with the other side. When the right does it, we call it out. That's what it is. And so, anyways, this one nut who follows me on Facebook, I don't know the guy, never met him. He followed me. This is what normally happens, or sent me a friend request, and he's just a nut. I'm trying to think of what his name is now. Edward, it'll come to me. Anyways, this nut, he was big push. I mean, the minute it came out, bam. And then when people challenged him on it, he was very adamant. Not that it didn't matter if it was true. It didn't matter if it was true, because he's the kind of person that would do that. So it doesn't matter if the story's true or not. It doesn't matter if it's a lie, because he doesn't care. This is a guy who doesn't have any love for the truth anyway. So then, as it became evident that it was fake news, first of all, he was saying, it could be true, and Trump should have to, prove that it isn't. And then when it became evident it wasn't true, then he just doubled down. This guy just doubled down on it, and thought it's perfectly fine, and they should push out anything like that because Trump is such a bad guy, and Trump would do this, and anything you can do to damage this guy is fine. And this is what's wrong with America. This is the lowest common denominator human being that's out there. Even if for someone like me who completely dislikes Trump and wouldn't put him out if he was on fire, I'd probably put him out if he was on fire, but who doesn't like Trump, and this guy's just a lowlife. And so then he gets called out on constantly illogical statements. And so then he starts lashing out. And after I called him out on some logic fallacies, he pulled up Google and started, naming anything anybody said. He just posted the name of a logical fallacy, even if he didn't know how that thing worked. And then he got personal. He said that I really don't live off grid, because if I live off grid, then I can't be on Facebook. This same absolute stupidity. And he's just LOLing. Oh, technology is the devil. And so, after a little bit of that just juvenile, childish nonsense, Edward Sullivan, that's his name. He's an author, I suppose. As bad as his logic is, his books have to be terrible. I've never heard of the guy before, and he's just a nut. He's a poster boy for what's wrong with the country. I ended up blocking him just because I don't block people because they're on the left or the right or because they disagree with me. If they are a particularly bad representative of their viewpoint, just a bad person, then I block them. So I ended up blocking him. So now what he's doing is he's like private messaging people that he knows follow me and telling them, I'm a narcissistic, blowhard, pedantic, or whatever words he could look up because he's too stupid to actually know the meanings of any of them. Anyway, so that went on this morning, and I'm done with it. I a long time ago I got done dealing with people like that are just low human beings, and so I have nothing to do with that guy. Anyways, I didn't mean to rant, but it does feel better. And so I've been taking Spanish. I took Spanish for 4 years, I think, in school, starting in the 7th grade. I lived in Maryland, and I had an actual Spanish teacher who was from Spain. Her name was Miss Mannion, and she was wonderful. It was probably the best teacher I ever had. and she taught us a lot about Spanish. She taught us a lot about Spain. She actually kind of immersed us in the culture. She took us to actual Spanish restaurants in Washington D.C. and I learned a lot. Of course, like most people, I didn't retain much of it. And then I moved to Odessa, Texas, in the 8th grade, and I took Spanish there, and then I took Spanish in high school. Pardon me. And then took 2 years of Spanish in college, and still, not fluent. Later on, I went on trips. I've been in Mexico and places in Central America, etc. And while I was there, the Spanish kind of came back. I was in Mexico for an extended period of time with a group that did not speak any English, and because of that, we ended up communicating pretty well. The Spanish came back pretty well, but then if you don't use it, you kind of lose it. And so after all of that, every year I kind of tell myself, okay, I'm really, really going to focus on improving my Spanish because I think it's an important thing. It's not just important for communication. It's important because new languages allow you to think thoughts that otherwise you cannot think, because they have words for things that we don't really conceive of. Allow us to expand our conception of reality. So I decided to do that, and so this year I started with Duolingo, which is kind of a free app, and it's online, and it's on the computer as well. And pardon me for a second. And so, and then a friend on Facebook got me started with Mosa Lingua. So I'm doing both of those now every day. And what I like about them is they kind of badger you. They send you push notifications and email notifications every day and then there are kind of rewards for doing it every day. And they're both like scientifically based on the way the memory works. So I like both of them. They're very different, and I think they kind of add to each other. So I've been taking Spanish a little bit, and I think I looked on Duolingo this morning. I think yesterday I was 16 or 17% fluent. I think it was 18% this morning, and so I'm doing it every day, and it's really, really helping. So there's that. Somebody asked me about fracking and earthquakes in Texas. I'm not a scientist, and I don't know anything about the science of it. First of all, I am, because of my culture and my beliefs about agrarianism, I'm very much against the petrochemical industry. I think it's a toxic industry. I think it creates dependency. And I understand all the arguments about national strength and all of that kind of stuff. I just think that the dependency, particularly in Texas, on oil has been crippling. It's gone through. We've gone through massive boom bust cycles, and the recent movie Hell and High Water really kind of illustrates. And it's the same people who are so pro big oil and can't help themselves but slobber all over big oil, are the same ones that pretend like they're sad for their friends when the stores close down and after the boom cycle, and people are out of work and these towns crumble and crime infests them. And so I don't like the industry. I don't like the fact that it's a toxic product that is dangerous on many different levels. I live in an area that, if you read history books, a lot of history books discuss this area because it was pretty important strategically. There's a military road that ran from the south right up past my property that was trod by Robert E. Lee, and there were just north of here is a place called Camp Colorado, which was a military camp, and this was back, in the late 1800s, middle 1800s, sorry. And when you read those histories of this area, this was a lush, very lush, very plentiful area. There were wild walnuts, wild pecans, plums, grapes, peaches. The people who moved into the area, found plentiful food already growing. There was groundwater, there was running water, there were running streams and springs. And if you look at it today, it's the opposite of all of that. It can be beautiful, and I think it is a beautiful place. But the topsoil is mostly gone. It's mostly clay. The ground, there is no groundwater, and if you find groundwater, they call it muke water. It's very jippy muke water, and they dammed up the creeks and the rivers, and now the creeks don't run, and the groundwater is bad or non-existent because it was all pumped out for natural gas wells and for oil wells, and then they pumped bad jippy salt water, mineral water down into those holes to get out more of the oil, and now our life is trying to reconstruct the soil and trying to reconstruct something that used to be, and then the idiots out there supporting the petrochemical industry act like, oh, we're all rich because of it, and we're not. We're not. It's not sustainable, and I don't like it. And those of you who are my right-wing friends, this is the part we're going to greatly disagree in, because I think it makes us weaker. I think it makes us our food less nutritious. I think it addicts us to everything from pharmaceuticals to chemicals and fertilizers, and it's just a bad deal. And so I don't know anything about whether fracking causes earthquakes. I suspect that it does. It seems logical, and the places where they're doing it have seen a really abnormal increase in earthquakes. But it's just like global warming to me. I can have my own personal belief on it, but at the same time, I'm not a scientist, and so I'm not going to sit there and say I know what happens. I would like to see it all go away. What I would like to see is the laws change that protect the oil companies from lawsuits that would allow someone in their own county to have a trial before their peers concerning the destruction of property and minerals rights and all of that sort of thing. Anyways, that's just my opinion. I'm not pushing it on anybody else. I don't vote. So you're free to believe what you want to believe. You got this question: is there a God? I'm just going to answer it yes. If you have a specific question, like you want me to prove it or something like that, then get back with me and maybe we can discuss that, or why I do. But it's funny. I ask people all the time online. I'm like, give me a topic, and I get these very, very, very specific topics that are like would take 5 seconds to talk about. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to say about it, and then I get these other topics that are like so broad that it would take you could do that show forever. So I do have a Michael Bunker Christian Fellowship private Facebook page, and just get on Facebook. First of all, you should follow me on Facebook anyway. Facebook.com/offgrid, and then send me a private message saying you want to get on my private Christian Facebook page, and then I'll send you an invitation. But I don't want it being flooded with a bunch of nutcases. And it's got a lot of rules, so you have to read the rules too. But that's something I'll probably discuss over there. If somebody's curious why I believe in God or why I believe there is a God, I'd be glad to talk about it. That's probably where I will do it. Or maybe I'll do just a special podcast on that. Twitter. Oh my gosh. I've always hated Twitter. I don't like the concept of Twitter. I still have Twitter, and I keep a Twitter account because I've met friends that way. There's people that follow me on Twitter, and because of that, we've gotten to know each other, and so there are benefits. I think it is a way to track news, which is better than just about anything else that we have. So breaking news. I think it's a lynch mob portal for mentally and emotionally unstable people who look to be offended and then act like a mob of wolves in trying to destroy people. And I think that's on the left and the right. I hate that anybody ever gets so mauled on Twitter that they feel like they need to come out and apologize for their opinion in order to keep their job. I hate it when people go after somebody's livelihood on Twitter. But the main thing I was asked about on Twitter was about getting Twitter followers, and I just to tell you, I'm a complete contrarian when it comes to Twitter. When you see first thing you do when you get a follow request or whatever you call it on Twitter is the way that a lot of people get a lot of followers is they just follow a lot of people, and then there's almost this social expectation that if they follow you, that you're going to follow them back, and that doesn't really apply if you're somewhat famous or a big star or something, but for regular people, there's people that go out there and they follow 500 to 1,000 people or more a day, and they expect that a certain percentage of those are going to follow them, and then they build up followers. There's people that buy Twitter followers. What I do is when someone follows me, I go and look at their Twitter page, and if they're and when I say nobody, I mean there's no reasonable, logical reason that people are following them. I mean, it's not like they're and that doesn't mean that they aren't good people or that they aren't special or whatever. It just means that there's no reason, there's no public interest in why anyone would follow them. And you see they got 60, 70,000 followers. And then you see that they follow 60, 70, 80,000 people. Then you know that this is not real. It's not a real platform. It's not a real audience. And a lot of people, and I know authors that have done this, have gone out and bought 60, 70,000 Twitter followers. And I just refuse to do that. I refuse to follow people back just because they follow me. And it's not because I'm better than them. It's just because I hate this idea that your value or your people are going to credit you with having followers and these people don't follow you. They don't listen to anything. Most of Twitter, they just ignore your post. And so, I accept and I encourage people to follow me if you want to on Twitter. It's at mbunker. But I don't even know how many followers I have on Twitter. It's not very many compared to Facebook, which is a more legitimate actual platform. If you count my pages and my regular Facebook page and some of my book pages. And so, I don't do that Twitter mess. I do post on Twitter. A lot of my Facebook posts are cross-posted. Pardon me. And I also will do some special things just for Twitter. But I don't have a lot of followers there because I don't play that game, and I don't trust people that do play that game. And so, that's just my opinion on Twitter. I think maybe John Frater. I'm trying to remember who asked me about composting toilets. I think his first question was about septic tanks, and then I typed in that I don't believe in septic tanks, and so then he said composting toilets, and so and then somebody asked me, why don't you believe in septic tanks? I don't believe in septic tanks because I don't like the philosophy of them. I think that first of all, it's another way of kind of burying your problem so that you don't have to worry about it and not worrying about what that does to groundwater and all that sort of thing. But to me, it's a waste of a valuable asset, especially for people that are agrarians and that are trying to live off grid. So I wouldn't have a septic tank. In my office here, I have a it's not a composting toilet. Composting toilets are very expensive. It is we use it for we use compost, but it's a humanure system, and it works like this. I basically have a bucket, like a Homer bucket you get at Home Depot, and when you go to these estate sales or yard sales, you'll find them all the time. But there are these little toilet stands that are for old people or handicapped people and people when they get old, and they can't, be very mobile, and they have these little stands that have a toilet seat on it, and you can put a bucket under it, and that's what I use. And what you do is you have another container with ashes or sawdust or sand, or you can use a combination of leaves, some other compostable material. And every time you use the restroom, you cover it up so you don't get the smell, and you just do that until you get a full bucket. Now, outside, I have a series of boxes that are made of pallets. And the difference between human manure and regular compost can be made in weeks or months, and it's to be turned over all the time and all this, and there's a process that works. With human manure, you dump your bucket in there, and you can put in other materials, green materials during the spring and summer, put in leaves, you can put in other compostable material, but you basically let it sit for over a year, sometimes up to 2 years. And then you end up with a very rich compost that is not hazardous and is very valuable. And so I have a series of these boxes, and then when I fill one up, I cover it up to keep the animals out of it, and then I start another one. And then every maybe 2 years, we'll come down and we'll break open one of those boxes, and it's just compost. And it's become something valuable. It's not toxic. It's not poisoning the environment, and we're not spending 8 gallons of water to get rid of something that we shouldn't be getting rid of clean water. So I don't like septic systems, but we use the composting, the human manure toilet. Alrighty then. Okay, so next someone asked me about Patreon. Patreon, I really like, and to me, I think this is kind of the wave of the future for readers who particularly like a writer and want to get a lot of value and a continuing source of that writer's material. And it's not just writers; it's artists. And Patreon basically is a way that you can subscribe, and this is an ancient system. I mean, this was way back. As far back as you can remember, there were people who subscribed to the arts because they believe in the arts. Give you an example. I support 7 or 8 people on Patreon, and I don't. It's not even particularly people that I read or that I follow. I just want to support their work, and I want them to be able to do their work and get paid for it. And you can do it for a very little amount of money. And so what Patreon is you become a patron. With mine, it's as little as $1 a month. The average is like $5 a month. And with that, you will get stuff every month from me, and more than your dollar's worth. So I'm doing a novel called Hell in the Sea, which is an expose of the publishing industry in fiction format, indie pub revolution in a fiction format, and the thing is, you get that, and then I put out short stories, and I also have the last several novels that other people are paying good money for. I've given them for free to my Patreon subscribers. And so right now, I was just put out a book 1 of a episodic series called Time Looter with Forbes West. It's actually written under the name of Fenton Cooper. And starting next week, early next week, I'm going to be giving that book to everybody who's on my Patreon page. So for as little as $1 a month, you get a lot of stuff every month, and you get a lot of free things. And the average, like I said, is like $5 a month. Anyways, for mine, just go to patreon.com/Michael Bunker. Patreon.com/Michael Bunker, and you can subscribe there, like I said, for like $1 a month, $2 a month, $5 a month, whatever. And get a lot of good stuff. That was an advertisement. I actually did get asked that question, and I get questions all the time from authors and other artists asking me how it works. So they wanted me to talk about dogs and cats. We have a dog, and the dog's name is Rascal. Some of you remember Steel. Steel was kind of fun and funny, but when Tracy got married and moved to Arkansas, she took Steel with her, so we have a dog named Rascal now, and he's like half corgi, half pit bull. He's a real odd-looking little creature, and he's pretty fun. And that's Sarah's dog. And then we have 3 cats who are great hunters. They don't help me keep the mice out of my office. The one cat that comes down to my office all the time, he just comes down to sleep. I can't get him to hunt. So I'm thinking about getting a cat just for the office. And we'll see how that works out. So that's dogs and cats. And someone asked me about leatherworking. I don't know anything about leatherworking. I'd like to know leatherworking, but I don't. And so sorry about that. Can't help out. There's a lot of good stuff on YouTube. You can find all kinds of good stuff on YouTube. Okay, I'm looking through my list here of questions and stuff. In the meantime, if you have questions, you can always email me at bunker2k@hotmail.com. You can get on Facebook, which is facebook.com/offgrid, or you can and you can private message me on Facebook. You can Twitter. I told you Twitter's @mbunker. So there's a lot of ways to get a hold of me. Bunker2k@hotmail.com is my email. You can send questions as things you want me to talk about. You can also put comments or questions here on the YouTube page, although I do have to approve comments before they go up for obvious reasons. And I don't really like, and when I say comment dwellers, I don't want people to think that when they comment that I'm talking about them. I'm talking about, there are lowlifes like this Edward Scissorhands, or whatever this guy's name was this morning, who are, I call them comment dwellers because they're just lowlifes who have no sense of logic or reason, and they just snipe and troll and you know, lowest common denominator stuff. And it's just better to avoid the frustration of dealing with people like that. All right, so hold on. Let me look real quick here, see if any questions came in during the time that I've been doing the show. Doesn't look like it. I could be wrong. Hold on. My computer is so dreadfully slow. All right. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and call it quits, and we'll get this wrapped up and get it online. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure that you follow me on the YouTube page. That way you'll get alerts and all that. But it's actually very helpful because I think I've got like 400 followers on YouTube, and it's like Twitter. You know, I want them to be real. But once you get like 1,000, then I don't know, you get some kind of benefits. You get stuff that YouTube lets you do that they don't let you do when you only have 400. All right, so appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you soon, and signing out.